Concert Crew Podcast, we back again.
Yeah.
Today, Black Star 25, man.
25.
The 25th anniversary of this album right here, man. Mos Def and Talib Kweli are Black Star, man. It was released on September 29th, 1998. This was their first group album. That they put that really their first album that either one of them put together. Yeah. Period. They ain't have solo albums out at this point. So man, and this was a great day in hip hop. We already talked about check out the Hard Knock Life 25 episode. Check out the Outkast Aquemini 25 episode. But those albums came out on the same day as this album, as well as A Tribe Called Quest, The Love Movement. All of them came out on the same day, September 29th, 1998. So looking back, that's a dope day in hip-hop there.
Great day in hip-hop. I feel like everybody kind of got what they wanted that day, whether you like underground, like little commercial.
What all dropped that day?
Hard Knock Life.
Jay.
Quemini.
Outkast.
Yeah.
And this.
And Tribe Called Quest.
And Tribe, okay.
Yup, all on the same day.
Damn.
The great day in hip-hop. So... Black Star, man, September 29th, 1998. Where was you at?
I was in 8th grade. 8th grade going into 9th grade, 98. Hard Knock Life came out. I remember playing that. Or going to my friend Andre's house to play it. His uncle had the vinyl. Playing that, like, yo, this guy is crazy. That's where I was at. Still learning, still listening to I'm constantly listening to albums. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I was a senior in high school and I wasn't on this album. That when the 29th of September came out, I was in my senior year of high school and I was playing Jay-Z and I was in Outkast second to that. This was not on my radar yet. I'm being honest. Yeah. This was not on my radar at that time. It was a lot of hip hop, not just. You know, I'm still playing Big Pun. I'm still playing DMX. It's a lot of great hip hop classic albums at this time. This was underground to me. Yeah. So this wasn't on my radar at all in my senior year. This is something I had to go back to and appreciated it after I went back to it. But when it first dropped, I wasn't there. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, for me, when it dropped, same. I mean, I was on Jay because it had, you know, Hard Knock Life had the world in the chokehold. DMX had the world in the chokehold. Like this is like, it's very hard to compete with this now. And what Black Star was to me, even upon their arrival, considering we just had Tribe at that time, my brain would have went to them first. I'm going to the Love Movement before I went to them, just because of
this Tribe's name. I got you.
Same type of vibe sonically, but all right, boom. Even though this has time past has proven to be a better album.
Absolutely.
Plus with the Tribe, they were saying like that was their last album.
Yeah, they was breaking up.
So that was like Tribe over anything.
Yeah, but I agree with you saying, G-Dash. Like Tribe, you just going off Tribe based off of the Tribe that you love. Even though that album was not that, you're still going to give Tribe a listen just based off the album. But definitely looking back on that, this album is definitely better than that Tribe album. And I think that Tribe album was just like, here, we're just throwing something out because we're not really feeling each other as a group at this time, man.
They had some good songs on there.
They had some good songs there. Then they had some not good songs too. Yeah, some not good songs.
Well, into that
compared to their stuff, compared to the stuff of the past.
And to that point, the problem or the hard part about this Black Star album was looking back at it, they came in a pocket of neo soul, and they were technically on the forefront of the rapper side.
Yeah,
but because I mean, when we think about neo soul, you still think of the singers first. Lauryn Hill came out earlier. Like they had a lot of competition with them.
Yeah, and they weren't accepting that in the rap lane as much as they was. Now neo soul was getting accepted, but now y'all gonna actually rap with this same kind of melody? Nah.
But then with Black Star, you wasn't gonna hear this single on the radio. You might have seen the video on BET. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you seen the video on BET. It wasn't being on MTV.
Yeah.
You gonna see it on BET.
And you had to know what you was looking for. You had to be on that underground talking like the Lyricist Lounge, those type of underground type MCs to know even who a Mos Def and a Talib Kweli is. They didn't have no big features. They wasn't on anybody's record.
This ain't even just like underground. This is just like New York underground at this
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
This
New
is
York
not really
underground,
coming
yeah.
out of the city too much.
And I know you're gonna go through the songs, but y'all don't think that Definition is a breakthrough record for them?
I think Definition is
Oh,
a
yeah.
breakthrough record.
I'm
for,
like, they played that on the
yeah,
radio.
yeah.
That
This
got
it's a
real.
breakthrough record for them. But if you put that in a bowl with the stuff that was out at the time, it's still not getting no play over Annie, man, Hard Knock Life, and DMX and
Outkast.
still not a player, and Rosa Parks. They just have this sound that just is going to reach more people. This is the definition of like underground at the time. It was super dope though.
Yeah.
But it just, and then Rawkus was more like an independent label. They didn't have the money to compete with those budgets to push that out there.
Yeah, I think it was, and this goes back to my point. I think this kind of just was the evolution of the Jungle Brothers. What was that? That whole
The Native Tongue.
Native Tongues,
Tongue
right?
movement.
And technically, Neo Soul would have been the second coming of it if you look at just the people who are kind of moving with that movement.
Yeah.
And if you look at how Native Tongues were when they started, they was never that either. You know what I'm saying? Like, love Jungle Brothers, but they wasn't Rakim. They wasn't Ice Cube. They like whatever that mainstream thing is.
Yeah.
They never was kicking that door down, but they
Right.
always had their pocket, and that's what this was.
All right, so 98, right before this album came out, the landscape of hip hop at that time. We already talked about some. That same day, you got Jay-Z, Hard Knock Life. That was a massive, successful album. Outkast, Quemini, another big double platinum album. You got 98's a great year, man. So who else we got? You mentioned Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill. She's killing it right now. She on her way to going diamond eventually.
You got
so
Nori.
she's big.
Yeah.
Noriega
that
is
was
definitely the Nore album. Big Pun,
RZA,
RZA.
I say RZA and people laugh at me, yo.
Bobby Digital.
Yeah.
What we talking about?
Come on, man. Yo, that album was dope.
Why you doing?
I know, yo. Thank you.
Shouts out to creativity,
Yeah.
bro.
Jeez. People hate RZA. I don't know why.
People don't hate RZA, but I wasn't checking for the Bobby Digital.
Yeah,
I'm good.
see?
I'm good. Y'all.
Yeah, that was dope.
Hey, I'm glad y'all here, man. Y'all connect,
you.
man, because he had nobody
I'm
on the
just
side.
like, what?
I'm
Did he
good with
just
that
say
Bobby.
RZA?
I'm good with
What?
the Bobby Digital.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people that was out in 98 that I'm taking
Yeah.
over RZA, man.
That's not the question.
Exactly. Try to flip it.
Look, man. All right, well, I'm DMX, man. Huge.
Yeah.
Probably one of the biggest 98s. DMX, his first album is Hell Is Hot Is out, and his next album is about to come out before the end of the year. So DMX is hot. Puffy, Mace, Bad Boy. The Locks are still on Bad Boy at that time. They are they're still running the radio, even though Big's gone. They're still running the radio heavy. Female, you got Little Kim.
Yeah.
You got Foxy Brown. You got Missy Elliott. And then Timberland and all them, they coming with their different sound. Who else? Well, we mentioned Big Pun, but you got
Joe.
Fat Joe.
Yeah.
Also,
Don-
Fat
yeah,
Joe,
Don
the Don
Cartagena.
Cartagena was hard, man.
Yeah.
Busta Rhymes.
Yep.
Busta Rhymes, he was killing it,
What album
man.
came out?
Section
ELE?
of- Yep.
ELE.
Yeah, Busta Rhymes is killing it. Then you got Down South.
Juvenile, Master P, both dropped.
Yeah, Juvie's about to come out with his classic. Then No Limits already popping. They moving out there. They drop an album a week or 2 or 3 a week. they putting out product, man. Nah, No Limit was moving. Cannabis is respected as an MC, but I mean.
That one wasn't that bad, yo.
You know how he worded that statement?
Yeah.
That was a hell of a wording.
Yeah.
He was
We gotta stop. That album was not good.
It was all right.
Based off the hype, that album was not good, man. But Sean, you gotta stop taking up for everybody. That album wasn't
It's
good.
cool. It was some of Wyclef's worst work. Wyclef knows it. Like, he knows it.
But we also got Cameron. He coming along. He doing his thing. You got Nature coming along. Under. I'm sorry, we didn't even mention Nas, man. Nas didn't have an album this year, but
He was getting ready
was
for
right in
high
between
end.
years.
But Nas, this was like his little in between period. He just dropped the Firm the year before, so he gearing up to drop a new album. So he's in the studio. So great time in hip hop, man.
That's what I think the dopest part about 98 is, that there was representation for all types of blackness in music.
Yeah.
Like, as you saying it, I'm thinking, I'm like, yo, whatever kind of black you want to be or you are, your music can represent you
something
in that
there.
facet.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it was all regions represented too.
Yes.
It wasn't like, oh, you just New York. It's like, yo, you got the down south, you got the Midwest,
Common, Chicago.
Yeah, people were popping up everywhere.
Yeah,
and it's like, with the videos, we seen it all. We seen what a New York video looks like. We seen what a down south video
Bone
looks
Thugs
like.
and Harmony was still big at this time, man.
Yes.
Bone
Thugs is huge.
They were
They
huge at this
huge.
time. They were
Wu
Wu-Tang's competition at this time. That's how big they were. Seriously.
Wow, Sean,
I'm
your
not even-
boys.
I mean, they were big, but
They was big. They
At
was
that
big.
time,
Yeah,
it was
at
the
the
Mo
time.
Thugs. They had a
Yeah.
whole, just like, you remember how Wu-Tang had a bunch of little groups? They had a bunch of
Bone Thugs had their own lane. They had their own lane. See, that's the beauty. It wasn't a lot of copying. You had it, whether you liked it or not. People had their own little lanes, man. So I think that was dope. So Black Star, Mos Def, and Talib Kweli, where would y'all say they was at their careers at the time before this album came out?
Infants.
Infant stage.
Infants. They were, think of all, man. They were still creating a footing nationally. Like they nobody knew. Don't get me wrong. I think if you knew who Mos Def was, you knew what he was capable of, but you didn't know he was going to be where he is.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, he's a revered MC, regardless of anything else. He's revered. Back then, it was like, yo, that boy, nice. Oh, all right. If you knew him, you knew he was fire, but that's all you knew.
The only way you really knew who Mos Def and Talib Kweli was before this, if you was in New York and you was a super underground dude. If you was going to like the Lyricist Lounge events that used to be at little clubs in New
Lyricist
York.
had a TV show as well.
But I don't think they had a TV show when this album came out though. I remember the TV show.
I think that was after.
Yeah, it was after.
Like 99.
But
right
from
after.
what I said, from what I heard, if you was in New York, they did a lot of Lyricist Lounge type shows at different clubs. So you actually had to be a part of that scene to know exactly who Mos Def and Talib Kweli was, because they were respected and they were dope, but nobody knew them on a national tip because they were really like underground MCs. Or if you was just like super up on the raucous movement, which was another whole underground independent movement, man, you had to really be up on top of that. The sound bombing joints, the Lyricist Lounge. Yeah, they were dropping like compilations.
They had a nice roster too.
They did.
They did.
It was like, when I think of like Raucous, I think of like Duck Down, Raucous, like those underground New York,
Raucous,
true hip hop labels.
Raucous and Violator, I put hand in hand in that type of.
I would think Violator was way more popular.
But Violator was more.
so?
But Violator was more of. Violator was
like
more like
management.
management. Raucous was actually like a label, and Violator had a crazy roster. Like
But they was all raw. They weren't as lyrical, but they was all raw.
I mean, but they had LL Cool J.
like
they
Busta
had
Rhymes,
like Busta Rhymes.
Nori.
They had Nori.
Busta Rhymes ain't raw.
They had LL Cool J at one point.
And if you don't think, I don't know what albums LL released under them, so I can't speak to that. But if we gonna say LL ain't raw, then you got that too.
I mean,
like, you haven't named a non-raw artist yet, so you gotta tell me who's not raw.
I mean, to me, like
They had Violator had
it's like
commercial
no comparison.
success though. They had dudes that were
LL is commercial success. Other than that, who was commercial success?
Busta Rhymes, Nori, Missy.
Yeah.
I think Missy was.
I don't know if Missy. I don't think Missy.
I
Was
think
on
Missy was,
Yeah, I
but
think
50
she
Cent
was,
was. Missy was, and 50 Cent was on Violator at one point.
I think you naming everybody who's on the album compilation. Okay, which was fire.
I don't know.
They had albums on Violator.
Chris Lighty had a lot of people signed.
Yeah, he was a man. He managed a lot of people.
He managed a lot of people.
I think when they got their record deal, it wasn't a lot of people signed the Violator record.
That's my point.
Yeah,
like, that's literally my point. Like, the people who signed, nah.
Yeah,
But
I don't even know who was signed to Violator Records, honestly.
My song, Lefty. Come with, you know what I mean?
My song was Def.
Right.
But nah, it was on.
That's the shit.
Yeah,
that I'm on.
You know, I could finish the verse, but we
That was my verse. He killed that verse.
Yeah.
So they weren't known, man. They weren't known at all.
Yeah.
Like, so they're coming out to me. They're like new MCs.
Like, who
When
is
I
this guy?
Yeah. Who are they? So was there any anticipation for this Black Star album?
I don't think so, because it's like, I mean, because you have to either know who they are to either, to to be hype about the album.
Yeah, I think that let's go back to how anticipation happened back then, right? Clue, Envy, whatever mixtape DJ that you was rocking with is how you how you anticipated hip hop artists. No.
I mean, I opened up by saying that this album wasn't on my radar, so it wasn't anticipated.
Now, to me in '98, when I think of underground, I think of Cannabis.
Yeah,
this is like way.
So this is under that. This is under that, and I do think Cannabis
respectfully.
Respectfully.
Under that.
Respectfully,
not like
sure.
they trash.
See, I don't think of Cannabis as underground. After second round knockout, he was a household name. Like he had a moment, he had a flash, and it was like, oh, when you heard of him, you knew who he was.
One of my friends had a Cannabis mixtape, and I'm like, that's when you can buy a mixtape at the farmer's market.
Yeah, I used to tell them, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I was like, I was like, yo, this dude got all these
mixtapes.
Why you think I know so much about music? I sold this shit.
We got the local bootlegger right here.
There he is. Get him.
Yo, chill out with the statute of limitations, guys. Who we got to do?
He trying to get booked.
No smoke.
Yeah.
They're going to arrange the thing like
the RIA going stick in your door.
Listen,
it's like,
life was good.
Yeah.
This was I didn't. And the funny thing is, I do remember hearing Definition, and I liked it at the time. But hearing Definition and me liking it still didn't make me want to say, yo, I need to go get that album.
And the video, too.
And it was dope. I liked it.
I'm going to tell you why. Because I guarantee that beat, because and how hard that is. Remember, that's a New York sample.
Yeah.
That was probably on a Clue tape, on an Envy tape. That was on one of those mixtapes. I guarantee it. And we would have heard it. And then went back to the X record. Like, we're dealing with a time when X was dun, dun, like, I gotta, bro, send me, like, it's really hard to compete with that.
Yeah, it was hard to compete. And Rawkus didn't have they were really like independent. It wasn't like, push. Even though they were attached to bigger labels, they weren't getting like a big marketing budget. It was just like they really was marketing themselves. You had to really be a part of that scene in New York. This wasn't like it was a scene in New York and a scene in Chicago and a scene in Atlanta. Yeah. It was just in New York. This is a New York real underground movement. Now, when people say underground artists, you can kind of be underground artists and float the different underground markets all over the country.
Yeah, I don't think that this era knows.
You couldn't do that. Yeah, you couldn't do that. You could be underground, in Philly, and then you could be like go to the underground market in New York and go to the underground market in Cali.
Like a cult following. People know you.
Now when you was underground, then you was just underground in New York.
And then at this time, there was no internet transferring music like
really.
that. Like
they ain't had no social media, no nothing.
Either you got the tape or the CD, or you seen the video. That was it.
I agree, man. No anticipation for this album at all. Respectfully, in a respectful way. But it's just being honest, man. It wasn't there at all.
They know. Trust me, Mos Def and Talib both are well aware of how much promo went before this album.
I think they are, for sure.
They know exactly how much was spent and how much they had to pay back.
They seen the budget. They seen the street teams. Matter of fact, they might have been the street team. Handing out stuff for
and they also saw Jay's street team. They saw DMX's street team. They saw all the other Master P's street team.
Yeah, they probably was their own street team. They were putting up their own posters. The Rawkus roster was all out there with the artists.
Yeah, most definitely had a stapler in his back pocket. Just
That's how you did it, though. That's how you got your stuff out. Yeah. Go to these shows.
Anything to grind, man.
And it worked because they got to us.
Right. All right, so now we got this album. Sean, you're an art guy, man. You got this this Black Star album. The title is a reference to the Black Star Line, a shipping line founded by the Pan-Africanist Marcus Garvey. So that's where they got the title from. The album's cover was designed by artist Brent Rollins.
Mm-hmm. I think the cover kind of looks like a wood crate. It kind of reminds me of Lauryn Hill's album cover.
I agree with you. With the
wood
coloring,
grain,
with the coloring.
And all that. Got the boom box at the bottom, the crowd at the bottom. I think it's dope.
Does it go with, if you even knew their image, does it go with kind of how you would project them to be as artists?
I would say so, because it's still like underground mystique. Like their face is on there, but you still kind of you still have to look at it to see like who it actually is.
I definitely kind of get that Lauryn Hill vibe,
Yeah.
you know, the way the CD is in the front and the back. Like it's just, I definitely get kind of that wood grain vibe. I know it's not a desk like hers, but it's kind of
like a wood crate.
Yeah, it's kind of got that feel. It's definitely, it kind of matches the vibe I kind of get from them. You know, the album title. What do you think about it?
You ever seen? To me, it reminds me of there's a picture of either like Fidel Castro. I think that's who it is.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking
See, like
about.
the second I say it, you can kind of see it, and I'm
yeah.
like, I can get it. And then with some of the revolutionary style of the album, like I see the Lauryn Hill stuff too. I see all that.
Again,
but with
Chica, you talking about Chi? What's his name? Chi Guevara.
Yeah. That picture,
yeah,
you know,
wow.
I
do
get
see
it.
that. I do see
and
that.
I can see coming from them, even the stars. Like this ain't a game. I see where they. Yeah.
Because Black Star. I get it. I like it. I'm sold. I like the coloring. It kind of matches it. I like it all, man. I like it all. But again, this time wasn't on it at all. That'll be clear, man. Like I ain't gonna be on your capping, man. Nah, I was not on this at all. 98. Mos Def and Talib Kweli are Black Star. That's the official title. It's not just, everybody just kind of calls it Black Star. The actual official title is Mos Def and Talib Kweli are Black Star, but it's often just called Black Star. It's the debut studio album by the group Black Star, consisting of MCs Talib Kweli and Mos Def. The album was released on September 29th, 1998, they got a lot of slashes with this, via Raucous Entertainment, Priority, EMI, MCA, and Universal. So they got all these big names attached to it, and wasn't none of them breaking. There wasn't none of them breaking the budget off to help them, man.
That makes sense now. No, I only say that makes sense because if you look at the push, when I hear Priority, the bells always ring. Ice Cube's first album was Priority. Reasonable Doubt. Priority. So like this is the label that you go to when you just trying to
absolutely and the album features production from High Tech, The Beat Miners, Sean J. J. Ross, etc. So let's get into this album. The first song is the intro, produced by High Tech and Talib Kweli.
This is how you start an album off, with the scratching, the samples. This is hip hop. This definitely. Like, as soon as you hear this, you be like, man, this ain't Jay-Z. This ain't DMX. This ain't Nori. This is something totally different, but I like it.
And they like scratching them, like scratching verses from them. And then one of the things they saying, like, they have a responsibility to shine the light in the dark. Like, I like it, man. It really sets the tone. Yeah. And the beat is kind of hard.
It is hard.
I think that this album is an ode to what we think of as classic hip hop, right? Because of that, it starts off setting that, yo, you about to hear again, I say what we think of, because we don't think of Sugar Hill Gang when we think of classic hip hop.
Right.
So this sets that Rakim tone, that KRS-One tone, that, we about to, what? And
Nah, I like it, man. It's dope. It goes into track number 2, Astronomy, A Flight, produced by The Beat Miners.
Strong go in. Yes. Good way to start the album.
Yo, Mos Def kills this song,
Mos
man.
Def.
He like comparing everything to black, like we black, like he's killing it, man.
I think he, like, looking back, I just didn't don't know as much, but when he represented for like the third eye people, the feelers and healers out there, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a world of people who feel you know what I'm saying, get into a vibe. And that song, he took us into it's that Erykah Badu zone. It's a different, these huge baby eyes. Like it's a whole different elevation.
Even like Talib Kweli doing this thing, but when Mos come on there, man, or Yasiin Bey, you know his name he goes by now. When he comes in the song, he just he just
commands. The track.
It's like he got a presence on it, and it's not just this track. It's like the whole album. Yeah, but he just got like a different kind of presence. And Talib Kweli's dope too, but it's just like. And this is the first one. You just hear him, and he just coming and he just snapping, man.
It's the difference is with Mos' cadence, right? His lyricism, you know, bar for bar. I'm not taking that away from Talib. Talib can write,
absolutely,
but the way that Mos' voice and his flow is going to ride on the record, he gonna do things that you know.
He said something like black, like the chair my dad used to sit in. But he said something like he couldn't sit in it long because he was like out. He had to be out in the struggle, like moving. He was killing this song, man.
Most goes in, yeah.
Most was killing this song, man. Track number 3, Definition, produced by High Tech. This is the first single.
Yeah, this the
redo of like a BDP beat, man. That beat so hard. It's
it's the redo of The Bridge Is Over, I believe.
Yeah. But it's like a different little.
Yeah.
But the dope part about it is it's an anti-beef record.
Yeah.
So like, but they did it over a beef record.
Yeah,
like that level of creativity, and then they got the nerve to have these verses where they talking that hard, where they still speaking raw hip hop.
It's hard in their way though. It's like it's hard. It's like KRS-One had like hard songs in his way, and like this is that kind of hard. I like gangster hard. It's just like hard, man.
Right.
And they making statements also, man. They talking about Big and Pac in the hook.
And Biggie.
1, 2, 3. It's dangerous to be an MC.
And I think they wanted that. They wanted it just to show, hey, you can still be hard,
right?
But we ain't got to kill each other in the process.
They killed Tupac and Biggie. Too much violence in hip hop. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big statement right there, man. Like, who's saying that? Who's making singles? Even if people felt that way, they were still making songs trying to dance.
At that time too?
Yeah,
that was kind of like taboo.
They said, yo, it's too much violence in hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I knew just from watching different interviews at that time in hip hop. So we talk a lot about 98 because of how everybody dropped. It was silent after Biggie died. Because rappers was like, all right, where we going? You going on tour?
Like, we getting killed now?
Right,
go to LA?
right. You didn't have, and so the most you was going to get is party records. Everybody, come on, let's have fun, y'all, because they killing.
Yeah.
So.
And it's crazy because I'm gonna be honest, be transparent. Even though I was probably part of the problem because I was loving that music out at the time, I still, my ear, this was refreshing to me at that time. Even though I was totally engulfed with Jay-Z, with DMX, with probably all the stuff that this Friday saying is the problem. When this song came out, I liked it. I still liked it. Like, this song refreshing. It's different. It was hard. And it was like the video, they was riding around. Everybody was making little cameos. They bobbing their head. It was real. This was real hip hop right here.
And it felt good. It felt good.
It was definitely like a refreshing record. And it was dope, man. It felt good, man.
But you know what? Like artists like this is the balance that hip hop needs. RZA had an interview where he was talking about Puff. He was like, yeah, Puff is cool and all, making all the music like to dance to in the clubs, but when you go home, what are you listening to? Wu-Tang Forever. You know what I'm saying? Like what are you going to sit through the, you pretty much like your everyday life. You going to drive home listening to dance music all week, or you want to, to me, there has to be balance, and I feel like this balances out the hip hop.
I'm just going to say this real quick. I think, yes, while it was balanced, it was more so that, even there it is, even for like the dance records that you should get, and while this was so, I guess, refreshing because it was like, how else was you going to find, I don't want to say raw lyricism, but like for me, I was a rapper. I was rapping back then, right? I do spoken word now, but that started with me. Well, there was a long time when I was rapping, and for me, hearing Definition was one of those songs I love. Jones when it was like, yo, y'all can't rap with me. Right. Like that's what that was. Like, hey, yo, peace in these streets, but y'all can't rap with me. Okay, and that's how they ran those. That's why it was hard, because it's like y'all can't rap with them, and that's what they was making the statement of.
Nah, it was dope, man. I loved it, man, and shout out to High Tech, because High Tech produced the bulk of this album, man, and he was a dope producer at the time, but he was new to the game as well, man. But shout out to High Tech. But this was definitely refreshing. It kind of just goes right into, which is kind of different also, right into like the remix pretty much, which was Redefinition produced by High Tech. So it's pretty much like the remix. The beat it goes from a hard knocking beat to kind of a slower beat. But but it's still dope though. It's like they killing it too. It's just the tempo changes.
I liked it. I wish it was the original.
Oh, absolutely. I'll
Like-
take the original over it.
Yeah,
maybe if they would have placed it differently instead of coming right back to back.
Yeah.
But I kind of get it because it's the redefinition. So, but
Yeah.
it's the tempo is a complete tempo change, though.
But it's my only, and I think it's a great song. But the way that I look at it is, the definition was such a different thing. So now the redefinition goes back to the style that everything else is on the album. Like it was kind of like it would been like where if that's the definition. By the way, we still do the other thing too. That was the only thing that for me when hearing it, it's kind of like, especially in the album flow, it's like a drop off. It's like
Right. All right, track number 5, we got Children's Story produced by Sean J. Period. Very interesting song.
Got a Mos Def solo.
So first of all,
solo
yeah,
song.
it's a Mos Def solo song. Everybody knows this is inspired by Slick Rick's Children's Story, even though it's not the same beat, it's a different beat. But Mos Def goes in, and who y'all think he's talking to on this song?
Bunch of commercial rappers. What do you think?
I think is one person.
One person?
I think he's talking about Puff, man. I think he clearly talking about Puff on here, man. Who else is that? Who else is big for redoing songs
I
like
think they talk
Puff
about
at the
Puff a couple
time?
times on this album.
I think
quite
this,
frankly, like
I think this is clearly talking about Puff. He's talking about, pretty much he's not respecting the artistry of just taking beats and sampling them, and you getting all the spin on radio. Like it was, to me, it was clearly a shot at Puff.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
There was a world, and the world don't look at this no more. The world forgets it. But there was a world where shiny suits and what Puff was doing with those samples and the way that he was making those records, that they was people that ain't hip hop. That was the center.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So like what they were doing, saying it was just screaming out with that same Backpack Underground crowd was saying to themselves. Roots was saying it too. Like it was that like
Definitely was saying it.
What They Do video.
yes,
Yeah.
that's what that was.
Yeah.
The Roots definitely was saying it. I think he was clearly talking about Puff, but it was in a story mode, basically saying like you're getting all the money, but then you don't got the respects in the streets no more. He ended up getting, the person ended up getting shot. But I think it's the nucleus of it, the core of it is Puff, like for sure. And I don't know if Puff probably didn't even know them personally at that time, but to me that makes it even more sense.
And I'm gonna do you one better. In my brain, because of how they were affiliated in New York and all of this, Puff probably didn't know them, but they probably had been in rooms with Puff. They probably seen you know how.
I wouldn't even say that, honestly.
What?
Oh no, you're gonna see Puff at the tunnel. You're going in this New York. You had to be. They was in a room with him from time to time.
But they probably was in a room and he didn't know who they were.
But that's my point. He ain't know them. And to me, how I perceive Puff to have been, almost like y'all don't even matter. Like why y'all? I could just see them having moments of being around. Like all right.
Yeah, no, I agree, man.
Probably.
But it's a dope song.
Dope concept, too.
Yeah, dope song.
One of my favorite, actually might be my favorite on the album, because let me go back. Again, at that time I was a rapper. So for me, the lyricism of the story, like to take a story, remix it.
The story is
like
dope.
my brain was like, how did he rewrite something that was already written? He took it and it's like even though it ain't the same beat, he kept the cadence.
I agree. I agree.
Like,
He kept Slick Rick's cadences from the original Children's Story on the song, even though it's not the same beat. So it's like the same cadences, but all different lyrics. So this is very creative.
Yes,
and it's a story mode. This is super creative.
He's definitely paying homage to Slick.
Yeah, like when we talked a while ago, when we talked about our storytelling episode, this is a great storytelling record right here, because it's the basic concept, but it's not even the same concept of the original, like Slick Rick.
Like if you had
but
to describe
within the
but
same,
the same
cadences.
pockets of what the song would
very
be.
creative.
Yeah.
The amount of creativity is it shines when y'all try to explain it, because it's like, well, it's the same song, but it's not. It's the same cadence, but it's not. It's the same bars, but it's not. Like it's like I don't even know how he did that.
Yeah,
like,
word.
Maybe ended like crumbs.
Track number 6, Brown Skin Lady, produced by J. Ross. This
cool.
right here, man. Oh, first of all, where movie is the sample from? That they sampled in the beginning. It's Samuel L. Jackson in it. What movie is that? It's Samuel L. Jackson and somebody in the intro of this song. He pretty much talking about they talking about the kind of women that he like, and he's talking about he was like pretty much society is conditioning him to the kind of what movie is that?
joint too.
he's saying like the society is conditioning him to like the kind of women that he liked, to pretty much not like white women. So
I gotta hear it. I don't want to play it.
Damn, it's Samuel L. Jackson. I can't. I don't know what movie. We'll find it out though.
Yeah.
But it's a familiar movie, I know. But Samuel L. Jackson is one of the guys in there talking. I don't know why I can't think of what movie that is right now. But dope song, man. I love this song. Once again,
Great concept too.
you gotta think in '98, nobody is making tracks like this.
Nah.
We're hearing you talking about. You hearing all kind of songs about girls, but you're not hearing like a brown skinned lady. This is like celebrating the black woman right here, and I love this song.
This
like,
is before Dead Prez, and you know what I'm saying. Stuff like that. So this
I love this song. I think this song is super dope.
very dope.
It's like really, really bigging up. This is even before
India Irie.
Common made The Light. This is before that.
Yeah.
So. It was a celebration, and looking back when I heard this song, when I first heard this song, I remember I was like, "Damn, this is so dope! Like, this is so dope." I don't know if the black women was really listening to Talib Kweli and Mos Def like that, but like this was dope, man. Like this was a great song for them. I think y'all need to go back and really give this song its flowers, man, because this is a beautiful song. Man.
Go back and read the lyrics.
Jackie Brown.
Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah, Jackie Brown.
Okay.
And it fit perfectly, like that mindset, and then we're going into brown skinned lady. So it like broke down the concept of like what a lot of like black men was dealing with, because they was all these images that are being thrown by society, and then we going into the song like, yeah, you gonna appreciate our sisters, man.
Thanks, Puff.
Brown skinned lady, and the beat and everything is just. It's just dope, man. It's not just Puff on that though.
No.
We got you coming off of NWA Air.
Yeah.
You coming off of all these runs right here, man. And there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
man.
I can't blame Puff.
You can't put Puff.
I know.
And on the other hand, also know that he gave us Mary and Faith and like he did R&B too, but I'm not doing that. Before, like, what I'll say about that brown skin lady song, like to y'all point, it is a hip hop version for the females of Angie Stone's Brother, but for women. Like that thing that was so beautiful and dipped in melanin. Other side of it is, sonically, it sounds like you can hear how Mos Def flow wound up flowing into Mrs. Fat Booty. Like you hear how his flow matured into, like it just makes sense, right? Like, and to me that was also dope. I was like, oh wait, it feels like it makes sense into his style.
Nah, it was, man. That's a beautiful song, man. Like I still looking back, listening to it, I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful song, man. Like I wish they should have this. They probably didn't have it in the budget, but this is like it should have been a video, man.
I don't think that it wasn't in the budget. I don't think they thought it would sell.
I would have loved it, man. I don't think they thought The Light was going to sell, but I think this is a beautiful song. I think because it was so. It contradict everything that was going on. I say try it, man.
I'm only saying let's be fair in that landscape. Common the Light. By the time Common dropped The Light, he had 2 or 3 hits already.
Yeah,
he had cachet. Raucus picked these singles, or Universal picked these singles. They didn't pick none of the singles from here.
Hey, brown skin lady, nah.
But you know what?
And they're not going to pick that. Then they're going to pick Respiration because you got the bars. They're going to pick Definition. Like that's what they're going to pick.
But then also, say if Brown Skin Lady was the first single, they would be labeled as like the soft MCs.
And Nothing Left is like that on the album.
Don't say, I ain't saying the first single. You can make the third. I'm talking about like third single. Yeah. Like third single. Throw that out there, man.
So Carl.
Well, how about this? It is their third single off of this album. How about that?
make them feel good.
Okay.
Because they never had one. So
thanks.
I guess.
So Carl back in 1998, would you like this song as much as you do now back then, or your mind state is just totally different now?
I would have liked this song when I heard it.
Okay.
I didn't get into. Let me tell you about my evolution of music real quick. Let me break it down. Evolution of music. Cause we going, you know where we gotta take it back to. We gotta take it back to the miseducation of Lauryn Hill, man.
Everything starts from there, of course.
It starts there.
Yeah. A few months earlier.
Look, I was a hip hop head. I was a straight hip hop head. I listened to Lauryn Hill album Lauryn Hill opened me up to listen to like the neo soul lane. Then when I got to the neo soul lane, I'm like, yo, it was a whole kind of thing of rappers that I really didn't. I'm talking about After Tribe. That I really just like. I heard their singles and I liked them, but I passed over. That's when I went back and got into Common more, Black Star more, then the Talib Kweli, Mos Def, all of that, their solo stuff. Like I appreciated their music more after Lauryn Hill kind of opened the neo soul lane. Like you were saying, they didn't really want rappers rapping over that type of beat. We had to hear the kind of singers first, and that's the direction I went. I went to the Erykah Badu's, the Jill Scotts, the musics and all that. Then I came back and let me check out these rappers too, man. And then that's when I got into all of this. So when I heard this, I was like, man, this is dope. So if this was actually a single, if Brown Skin Lady was a single, I think I would have felt it. I wasn't going to hear the album to hear it. So not in 98. I'm talking about this is like 2 or 3 years later when I got into this music, man.
Yeah, it wasn't. So that's another interesting thing. It wasn't as big here anyway, East Coast style. So because of like Chicago and Detroit, they had soulful rappers.
Right.
They had more like, you know what I'm saying? So again, that's where Common came from. If you look at some of the musicology of what Kanye was around then too. He was just producing. But Jay Dilla, that's this era. But that was Detroit, Chicago, mid, that wasn't East Coast. We wasn't listening to that.
Yeah, dope song. All right, track number 7, B-Boys Will Be Boys, produced by Geology. Yeah. This is like a tribute to the breakdancers right here, a lost element in hip hop. But so you don't hear a lot of people making the songs for the breakdancers, man. The B-Boys, definitely not in 98.
It's interesting. I took it almost bigger than that. I go back to the old to hip hop, right? Because it wasn't like that. That song starts off with them shouting out the crews in the building.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like to me, I was like,
Crazy
okay, but it was also shouting out the rap crews, like the it wasn't just the dancers; it was the whole squad. Yo, baka baka baka, and it was treating it again an ode to those who at that time. That was 10 years past some of those artists, right? Yeah. Like by the time this came out, the people who they're shouting out, that was 88, right? Yeah. So that's what made it even such a big deal that this new, like that, or that's what makes it so dope that they were kind of throwing it all the way back to to that root.
Yeah, man. I honestly, I ain't gonna lie. This wasn't my favorite song on the album, but I get it though. I get it, and I love the fact that they're really trying to represent like all the aspects of so I get it. It overall is not my favorite song compared to the other songs on the album, just because the other songs are so dope. But I understand why they went there with it. I get it. Totally get it. Track number 8, KOS Determination, featuring Vinia Monica. This produced by High Tech. Knowledge of Self. KOS stands
another one for the Third Eye Squad.
Yeah, man.
Listen,
word,
somebody like the Shade.
Yeah.
Let's get it cooking.
But the song's dope though, man.
Absolutely.
Of course, the KOS stands for Knowledge of Self, man. Just knowing what it means to be a black man in this world, man. Yeah. Nobody's really talking. Nobody at this time. Now we went through our, we went to the native tongue, even the poor righteous teachers, the X-Clan, all of them. And this is kind of a new era. Nobody in this era that has a platform is really making songs like this at that time on a big level. Yeah, well, I can't even say they were on a big level. But
where was Arrested Development? Was that 2 3 years prior? That might
Arrested Development was in the
early
in the 90s.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years prior.
Yeah, at this point, and I think not the MCs didn't want to make songs like this. I think they ain't felt like they would be heard if they did.
They probably had the labels telling you, make this song, make that song, make the party song.
The labels was dictating the music that was coming out. I wish they still do to this day. But it was artists that maybe wanted to make the kind of music, but they was like, nah, you got to make a club record. Yeah.
And I think you could have did whatever you wanted around that time. But I do think, don't get me wrong, I think labels mattered, but I think that there was a lot of individualism. I just think that at that time, there was a void in some of it because Nas was the headliner of that. You still had KRS-One dropping albums. Like it wasn't like they wasn't still doing it. It just nothing was loud at that point.
Yeah, and
You know what's also funny about these songs is like you got somebody from Cincinnati, Ohio, producing the majority of a New York underground
That's
album.
what I'm saying because that soulful sound did not start on the East Coast.
But you also got to understand, at this time, whether you're an MC or producer, everybody has to migrate to New York just to get on.
Yeah, you gotta
whether
come
you're from
there.
Philly, whether you're from Chicago,
yeah.
whether you're from Cincinnati. In order to get on at this time, you had to go to New York. It wasn't like you had social media to just get popping in your hometown.
I need some beats.
Yeah, you had to pretty much find your way to New York.
Yeah,
to get on.
And to be fair, there was 3 places you could go. Right, you could go to it was New York, it was L.A. or New York, L.A. or California, and Atlanta. Right, and I only say Atlanta because that was LaFace and Jermaine Dupri's come up, so they were building that there. Yeah. The West Coast, Dre was. Whatever group Dre was with at the time is who you had to go see. And then on the East Coast, the best part about the East Coast at the time was the East Coast had multiple options of come up. So, and I forget about Jay Prince and them in Houston because they was around too. Okay, but the East
they ain't signing this.
Right. So this had to get shopped to Def Jam, but like New York had 4 or 5 different label options. Yeah. So if you can go to Def Jam with it, or you could go to. I'm sure this got put in front of Bad Boy. I don't know how it played out. I'm sure most rapped for Puff. You might have wrote something wrote for Puff.
Nah, Playboy, it ain't working. Right. Playboy.
I'm sure they were put in front of Chris Lighty. Hell, Chris Lighty might have been the reason why you got on other stuff. But all I'm saying is there was a lot more avenues for artists to get on in New York. So that's probably why that.
I agree. And I want to give a prop to the Vinny and Monica. I thought she sounded beautiful on this song, man. Things I say and do. She sounded real good on this song, man. She was dope. Track number 9, Hater Players, featuring Apani MC, produced by Sean J. Period.
Yeah. So I go back to, you mentioned earlier Puff. There's a skit. I don't know if you ever heard it. It's if you flip those words around.
Yeah, player hater, hater players. I don't think it's a coincidence.
And it's sang by a man named Sean, probably produced by a man named Sean. So this being produced by a man named Sean is hilarious.
That's interesting. That's an interesting play on words.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I really didn't think about that, but that's an interesting play on words. I think Talib Kweli goes in on here, man. I really. Mos Def does this thing too, but I like Talib's flow on here, man. He kind of runs this joint. He kind of runs this joint. But yeah, that's interesting, man. Hater players, man.
Player haters.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't think that was a coincidence.
Not at all. Not at all. Everything with them is pretty deliberate. And,
I don't think that was a coincidence at all. Track number 10, Yo Yeah, produced by J. Ross and Talib Kweli.
A little short song.
Yeah.
I ain't a fan of this hook. It wasn't really my favorite, man.
Yeah. I mean, still, like, so far we got 2 songs that kind of, that to me, they're just okay. Yayo and the B-Boy joint. Other than that, this thing is flowing good.
Nah, it flows very good.
Yayo goes back to that old hip hop. The style of it is just, it's very, 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 very it's that thing. So that's why. That's what that was.
All right, track number 11, Respiration, featuring Common, produced by High Tech.
Mm-hmm. This is a staple sound for what that era of underground hip hop was. That next level of native tongues, whatever that thing was, that them two, the Commons getting into it, the whole sound.
Yeah.
That's what that sounds
like. This is the second single on the album. Common fit this song perfectly to me, man. Yeah. Like he fit
High Tech killed this beat too.
He fit their chemistry perfectly. To me, this is like the underground New York anthem. Yeah. It's like, you got a commercial New York anthem, maybe like Hard Knock Life or something. Then you got this. And the video was like black and white.
Freezing cold outside.
Yeah, it was like this me, this is like the epitome of underground hip hop.
I mean, now to me, I feel like having Common is a major cosign for the underground. Like, yo, you got Common on your album? Like, as crazy as it sounds.
But Common was living in New York at this time.
Common had hits, yes, but his hits were like, at that time, I Used to Love Her, right? He did.
What? When
I'm saying like Common's big for this album.
When you say Common had hits, when you said Common,
he was par.
When you said Common had hits, like, did he have hip hop hits? Like,
He had hip hop hits then.
Okay.
That's why I said I used to love her was a hip hop hit. So that's what I'm saying. Having his verse on this album to me was more par for the course. Like this was who's supposed to be with them on this album because of what they do. But he wasn't like him after the light or him after.
See, the thing about Common
was a different Common.
The thing about Common is Common was kind of before his time, and it was like he like I'm finally around people like-minded people.
Yep.
They weren't there in Chicago, so I had to go to New York to find them. Oh, they're here too. Yeah. And it's like he kind of got a head start when nobody really wanted to hear him. And then he had to move to New York and like, okay, y'all are here now. Yeah. The roots and you know him linking up with Questlove and like, oh, this is my lane of music right here. Like Chicago, they do or die and all them, man. Like Twister, right?
On the other hand, I don't want to take that away. They did have a soulful pocket. That's where Slum Village came from. Like they did have it, but
they did from Detroit.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. But there
still Midwest though.
But there was no money being pumped into it.
Nah.
So you still had to come somewhere else to get signed.
You had to come to New York. You had to come. But Respiration, that's a dope song, man. That video,
classic song.
I remember the black and white video. Yeah. It just had the night in New York. Yeah. It just the feel. It just had that feel, man. It's a dope record.
Dope verses. This is to me by far the best song on the album.
Interesting.
My favorite song on the album is that.
Okay. All right. Track number 12, we got Thieves in the Night, produced by 88 Keys.
This is a dope song, too. Love this joint.
Yeah, dope song, man. 88 Keys. I heard about him later on kind of working with Kanye. So at this point, I didn't even know he was moving.
He was still building it. Like that's
around. But yeah, man, it's a dope song. And then that leads to track number 13, Twice in a Lifetime, featuring Jane Doe, Wordsworth, and Punchline, produced by High Tech.
That was featuring the whole Lyricist Lounge.
Yo, I used to think Wordsworth was so dope on Lyricist Lounge show.
That's fact.
Like, I ain't gonna lie, I was mad that show got canceled because I really thought that show was. I thought the concept of that show was before its time. Watch, something is gonna come out like a while from now, and they're gonna steal that whole idea, and it's gonna be popular. It may not even be a TV show; it may just be online or something, or be on social media or YouTube or something. But the concept of that was before its time.
That was such a good show.
Wild 'N Out is the evolution of it. That's what you get. So, like, me,
I don't like the way that evolved. Then
you don't have to.
I don't like it.
It is $1 billion franchise. Yeah. It's up, but I think it appeals to children, like it appeals not children, but the youth. But for me, again, I was a rapper, so now I do a thing even as a poet where I be like, "Hey, give me a word." Yeah, that comes from Lyricist Lounge show. Yeah, like that's how I was raised.
Yeah, the way they used to rap them skits to me was just like so dope. It was that was like I'm like, no, this is, and I'm talking about then. I'm like, wow, this is really dope. Yeah. Like I really like that show, and it's like. It got canceled because people wasn't really catching it. But I'm like, man, how y'all not catching this creativity? And they had the guest star rappers on there. I thought the whole concept was dope, man.
Unfortunately, the same reason why it took people a while to catch on to this is lyricism that's like that. And I learned this as a performer. If I can't rewind it back and hear what you said again, then it might have been amazing. Triple entendre, you snapped. I didn't get it the first time, and I'm not recording. Remember, that's VHS. There was no streaming. I can't rewind it.
So you had to dumb it down. Then
yes,
that's whack.
But the bars on the show wasn't like that, like super complex.
But people didn't want to follow like a story or a concept because it was conceptual. Yeah. So they just want you to just rap. Nah, it's a concept. Follow the story.
But the show worked because like it would be like visually what they're doing, they're rapping.
And it's crazy because the Lyricist Lounge didn't work. But remember when Mos Def was part of it? Remember Beyonce and Mos Def? Carmen thing. That was the singing version of it.
Kai Pfeiffer was in
there.
But again, that was slowed down, and I promise, and the lyricism wasn't yes, it is conceptual. Some of them, Wordsworth was a lyricist. Wordsworth. So again, while we might have liked him, I guarantee people was changing the channel when he get to going because I don't even know what he talking about.
Right, and and the crazy thing about it is he probably dropped music after that, and I don't know nothing about it. But if he would have dropped it coming off of that show, I probably would have been checking it because I thought he was so dope. I thought he was like the dopest thing ever on that show. Just the creativity they had, just him and the whole cast. I was sold, man.
I remember one skit they had. He was like robbing a bank. And then he told people, he said something. Put your hands up, and then they were like doing this and
that show was dope. You might want to go back on YouTube and watch it.
Definitely.
That was a dope show. But Mos Def and Talib Kweli are Black Star debuted at number 53 on the Billboard 200 charts. It did not go even gold in sales, but it did have critical acclaim. So it didn't go gold, definitely didn't go platinum, but it was a critically acclaimed album. It debuted at number 53. So that shows that it was really not on nobody's radar at the time. But we're still talking about this album 25 years later. So that's the beauty of music.
Yeah.
You cannot sell, and you can still find a lane or a little following, a cult type underground following, and still be dope.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it amongst these other big selling double
giants,
triple platinum albums. This album still somehow found a niche, and catapulted their careers, man.
Yes.
Hell yeah,
yes.
So that's dope right there, man.
I mean, without this, you don't get Black on Both Sides. You don't get Talib's Reflection Eternal. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
They got some joints.
Yeah. Absolutely. But it all started with this Black Star album, man, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. What was the impact of Black Star, the Black Star album upon release, you think?
I think the impact showed the underground that, you can stay true and you can put a project out. You don't gotta sell 1 million copies, but there is a lane for people who do want to hear this type of music.
It definitely showed that there was a lane for this music and the fans that love this kind of hip hop. I don't know what you want to label it, underground, conscious, whatever label you want to go with today. Backpack, I don't know. It changes by the day. I think it shows that it was a lane for this music, despite everything that was out at the time. It still was like we have a place. We have a place for this sound and this type of music too, man. Despite being, placed in a market with all these juggernauts and stuff like that. I don't think it had any commercial impact at all. And I don't think, how some artists we say, like Fat Joe, we said it might not have been a commercial, but they had the streets. Well, this didn't really have the streets neither. It had underground hip hop head fans. Yeah. This is a classic in that lane. So they didn't go to... It might have been bootleg. They might didn't go to the G-Dash, but bootlegged them, man. You bootleg Black Star. But so people might not have went and bought the album. But they may not have bought the album, but somehow they got their hands on it. And they was rocking with it, man.
I don't think the sales really reflect the impact of what, quality music people listen to. Whether somebody bought one copy and you just got a copy, like, I borrowed it and I really liked it. You know what I mean? Like this album been around. People never heard this.
What I appreciate about it and what I appreciate about them, and if you look at where artists are touring, they shopped this album. This was the album that it's out. All right, now we literally are on tour and performing in venues. Stuff. That's how we know it. That's how people found out about it, because most in Talib was going around rapping. Okay, they were doing it. They were proving it, and then you had to listen. Made noise.
Dope. How would you describe the sound of this Black Star album?
Neo soul.
I say underground.
Underground is hard for me because it can be gray. There's a big broad stroke to underground of what an underground rapper was. But this sound, the beats were soulful. Like a lot of those soulful beats and cadences, the melodic. It's an incense and sage vibe the whole time. Like it's a thing.
What do you think, Carl?
I think it's like a underground hip hop neo soul kind of vibe, man. It's like a big combination of it's kind of, because they were kind of around. They're kind of like babies of the native tongue movement of Tribe. So they kind of really was like raised in that. I just feel like they have more lyricism than that era. And I love Tribe and all them, but I feel like the way they rap, they get busy a little more with the bars, man.
So you taking Mos and Talib over
rapping
Q-Tip
wise
and Fife?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
okay.
and I love Tribe. I love the Tribe, but
That's a
lyrically,
take. That's a take, boy.
lyrically, yes, Mos Def and Talib Kweli are better rappers than Phife Dawg and Q-Tip. Absolutely.
Now, who sounds better together? You think?
Well, who makes better songs?
I can't say that because it's not a large sample size of Black Star
Yeah.
together. I mean, they did a lot of songs together, but it's not. They don't have like 5 albums to go with. So I'm gonna have to say that A Tribe Called Quest sounds better together because they did it for a longer time.
Yeah.
And the results of it are in the songs that they got. They got some great songs.
But I think lyrically, Mos Def and Talib, they are better than Q-Tip and
I think lyrically they're better. To me, that's not an argument. You disagree, G-Dash, I see, but I don't think that's a discussion
I didn't
at all.
say I agree.
Yo, your face says it all.
Your face says it all. Like,
He's like, interesting.
yeah.
I do.
I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close.
Okay, I don't think that it's fair. I think that
I don't think Q-Tip and Phife are slouches, though.
No, but I don't even consider them lyricists to me. I just feel like they
Phife
know,
is a lyricist. Now you're being disrespectful. Q-Tip is
he's a producer, but he knows how to ride the beats
Yeah.
because he makes the beats. I know. I'm not saying Phife isn't dope, but Phife said like he had to first. He wasn't even taking the rap thing serious. He had to
But
like.
if you listen to Phife's verses, they're full of metaphors and similes. That he's full of those.
When you talk about the Midnight Marauders album, then he got busy on there. But you also got to understand, like at one point the first album he wasn't even rapping on a lot of the songs because he didn't really take rap seriously. But rest in peace to Phife Dawg. I love Phife Dawg. I'm really not trying to compare them. I'm just saying if you compare them bar wise,
I'm not trying to compare them. I'm just saying if you compare them,
bar wise, to me they're different. Mos Def and Talib, they're advanced. That's all I'm gonna say.
Advanced.
Hey, man, look. But they're babies of them, so they respect the native tongue, and then so it's like neo hip hop soul to me, man. Some people will call it conscious. You know, that became a word a little afterwards.
Yeah.
So maybe they're the fathers of the conscious movement.
The backpackers.
It was
backpackers.
Them Common and the Roots were big into that just space of
And it's crazy because when Kanye West came out and blew up, Talib and Kweli was some of the first guys he was trying to get connected to.
Yeah.
Then he signed Common. So like he went right to the nucleus of the dudes that was really kicking off that sound at that time.
Yeah, he went everywhere Dilla was.
He was definitely in that circle.
Let me stop.
Right. Nah, I agree. So what did this Black Star album do for Mos Def and Talib Kweli's solo career? Because actually, they were initially supposed to put out solo albums first, but they got so much success they had so much chemistry when they got in the studio together. They was like, "Yo, we're gonna put out the Black Star album first."
Yeah.
So what do you think it did for their solo careers?
I think it launched it. I mean, I think that definition for what Mos Def became and Talib to a certain extent, that was the hello.
You know what? I bet you Mos Def first solo album made people go back and listen to this.
Probably. Both of their first solo albums.
I agree. I agree.
Mos Def first album is a certified classic.
Or well, I should say this and Reflection Eternal. Probably both because High Tech is all over this. So like I can see both of that.
I can see that too.
When the blast drop and Mrs. Fat Booty, both of them was like, all right, we gotta try this.
Yeah, I think it set them up well because both of them had more success after this album commercially with their solo albums. I mean, like you said, Mos Def dropped Black on Both Sides, and then you got Miss Fat Booty and Umi Says. They were moving,
some joints
man.
on there.
They was and then Talib Kweli first came out with Reflection Eternal, and then he had the what's the song?
Blast.
The Blast. Was
Yeah, the
crazy.
But he only had one single over that, right?
Yeah, it was the Blast. I mean, that's all I remember. I remember
that was
the Blast. The Blast jumped off, man.
The only sad part was this didn't help their budget. like this is like I guarantee I'm willing to bet Mos probably got more budget to get a second single on his second. Like they got 2 singles on this album. Talib, all right, you only got one. Most probably only would have got one if his first one ain't blow out.
But then when Talib Kweli came out with Quality, then he had Get By.
Yeah.
But that's because Blast was bigger than Blast was huge for him.
Yeah, it was.
That was a Kanye beat.
The Kanye beat for sure. Just to get by, just to get, and then Jay-Z and them got
Busta
Rhymes got on that remix.
That was
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, so I think it set them up to have more success
Yeah.
in the future, man. That was dope. And I mean, they were respected as MCs, man.
For sure.
You know, Jay-Z said, he said lyrically, I want to be Talib Kweli.
Yeah.
But I made 5 mil.
I want to rhyme like Common Sense, but I sold 5 mil, so I ain't been rhyming like Common Sense.
Yeah.
Like he said that, and some people was taking that as a shot, but that's really, I respect y'all.
Yeah.
I just sold so many units, I can't be y'all. But I want to be like y'all. I want to just go in there and get busy lyrically sometime. But that showed their respect in the game, man. Most was on that Get By remix too, man.
Yeah.
Most was respected.
Yeah.
And Jay-Z tried to sign them at one point.
Sure.
They tried to. He rocked with them that much, man.
Well, I mean, they are all from Brooklyn. Yeah. Maybe that has.
I go back to they know. I know that y'all think that these people might not because we see how big Jay was and how big Puff was. I promise you, they was in the rooms with these cats.
But they paid attention to the game too, man. So they understood what was, even if it wasn't in their market, they understand what was shaking. Like they respected them. They were respected as MCs for sure. So what's your favorite song on the Black Star album?
Mine was probably Children's Story.
Really?
Yeah, because of writing wise, what it did to a story. Like sonically, if I'm being honest, when I first heard it, it would have been Definition when I first heard the album. But after I sat and like years later, I was like, my brain was breaking at how does it sound like Slick Rick, but he changed everything. Yeah, and it still sounds like Slick Rick, like writer wise. I was like,
well, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Definition, man. Definition was hard to me.
It was hard,
but I like to do my top threes. I'm gonna go with Definition number 1. I'm gonna go with Respiration number 2, and number 3. I'm gonna round it out with Brown Skin Lady, man. That's my joint. I rock with that Brown Skin Lady, man.
Skin Lady, crazy.
I'm gonna go with Respiration. That song just embodies everything. I feel like the album, the beat, the samples, the lyrics, you know what I mean? To me, that's what I picture when I hear this album.
Shout out to High Tech, man. High Tech
busy.
got busy on this album, man. And then he went straight from this to then doing the Reflection Eternal, the whole album with Talib Kweli. So shout out to High Tech, man. I don't think he gets his credit for this Black Star album. You just hear Mos Def, Talib Kweli, but the essence of it, he behind it.
Matter of fact, High Tech did my favorite song on the Game's first album, Running. Love that beat. Him and Tony Yayo.
That's a dope song.
Yeah.
My favorite song on there, but that's a dope song. High Tech dope, man.
Yeah.
And it kind of helped. It did help High Tech because at one point he was a member of like the producing team that Dre had working with him.
Oh yeah.
So like this little stuff like this, the blast and all of that helped raise his status in the game, man. For sure. How does this album compare? Because we normally ask like, where's this rank at in their discography? Well, they only got 2 albums, man. They got this, and then a year. I think that was last year or the year before.
Last year.
They dropped No Fear of Time. So how does this album compare to No Fear of Time that just came out?
You had a Lumineer subscription? Never mind.
We don't want to ask that question. How you heard it?
I heard the album. Relax. They went selling bootlegs.
Y'all invited me up here, okay?
I did hear the album. It was hard to listen to. I did hear the album.
Did you give it to him?
You still sell a bootleg?
You got it?
I didn't have a subscription. I don't know what you're talking
it's
about.
On that flash drive, right? You gave it to him on the flash drive?
Oh yeah, what was the thing Kanye had?
Like
I listened to the People's Party. To live.
Yeah. All I do is listen to Talib's podcast.
We gotta stop because he really do be shooting for people.
I know. Yeah.
I will say, look, man, the album, the No Fear of Time album, I think is dope album.
Shout out to Mad Lib.
Mad Lib produced all the songs. I think you really can't compare them because sonically they're just totally two different things. But if I had to choose, I'm gonna take the first Black Star album. But the No Fear of Time album is dope, but it's its own thing. It's his own sonically. It's his own sound.
Mos is going
and Mos Def is going in. Yasiin Bey.
Yasiin Bey is going in on that album.
Yeah. But they're two different things, and they're so spread apart. I mean, that's the thing about it. The thing about Black Star, I said this when that album came out, is we didn't get a chance to fully see them grow, like the evolution of them, because they didn't come out with no music in between, mostly because Yasiin Bey really was he kind of wasn't
acting, doing other stuff.
But he also just wasn't feeling the music business, so he kind of just backed away until he would drop little guest verses, little projects every once in a while, but he wasn't really feeling the music industry at all. That's probably why I didn't record. So when they finally did record an album, we didn't get no like lead up. It was just like, all right, that was then. And this is now, and they're two different things to me. But No Fear of Time is dope. It's a dope album.
That's like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah,
more than 20 years ago.
I kind of
People
feel like
change.
I feel like Mos, what he did was he started. Two things happened. He started getting movie money. Like so. Hey, you know what? I'm not feeling this music thing, especially after I get a couple M's off of this flick I'm about to do. It just shaped like why I'm not going back to fish. It's my Lauryn Hill argument. I'm not going back to playing this game if I ain't got to. I'll tour, but I'm not playing with y'all.
Yeah.
All right. So it's that time of the show again. Any albums that came out in the 25 and the past 25 years that remind you of Black Star's first album?
I would say one.
I think I know what you're gonna say, and I agree with you if you're gonna say it. What you gonna say?
What
you gonna say? I ain't even heard you say it yet. You gotta say it first for me to agree with you. What you gonna say?
I'm gonna say Dead Prez, Let's Get Free.
I'm with
That's
you.
It.
I'm with you.
That's it.
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
I think that is now I don't think Dead Prez is as lyrical as Mos Def and Talib Kweli, but I feel like they're in that zone. I feel like they even stepped up the political part of that another notch.
They went extreme.
Yeah. But I feel like they come from that comes from.
They were actually in the video. They
was.
Yeah.
They probably would have been on Rawkus if Rawkus still was around by the time they came out.
But they signed Loud, which is
Loud.
a step up from.
Loud had a bigger budget.
There it is. That's the evolution. It goes Rawkus, Loud, Violator.
But Violator really didn't have a record label to put out nothing like that. They did have a
label. We'll go back to
but
it.
nobody came out on the label like that though. That made an impact. Loud Records actually had artists that was on Loud Records that came out that was dope.
I want to say
Wu-Tang came out on Loud Records.
Yeah, I feel like there were members on Violator because they all
Big
had
Pun.
Hold on,
Raekwon,
Inspect the Deck, Dead
Alcoholics.
Prez. Like they had a roster of people that actually came out on the Violator Records. Management was doing stuff, but I don't think you can put them in an argument with Rawkus and Loud. I can see the Rawkus and that. Big L album came out on a Rawkus. It came out on Rawkus too.
You know what? Sound Bombing 2 is I love that album.
Is the Sound Bombing 2 the one with the Nate Dogg single?
That was Sound Bombing 3.
Oh, okay. That song was
Sound Bombing 2 got the Chaos with Talib and Bahamadia. Eminem got a song on there.
Yeah, he do. And he used to be in that little circle too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Dead Prez and
y'all want the artists? I can tell you the artists.
Who the artists?
Ain't a lot of them. The Beat Nuts, Fat Joe, Cormega, Warren G, Foxy Brown, The Franchise, JoJo Pellegrino. Shouts out Chi. So that's why. So either way, they're in the same. I said it earlier. You was like they're not even in the conversation with. They look at these artists. They're all raw in the same conversation with the other. Wherever you rank them, have fun. But they're in the same conversation.
I don't put them.
I don't know because I know JoJo Pellegrino never came out with an album.
Yeah. Beat Nuts was dope.
Beat Nuts definitely dope album.
But I mean,
Foxy Brown was Foxy.
I thought Beat Nuts was on Loud.
Nah, it was.
Well, you can still be on Loud and be on Violator. Like,
if
Foxy Brown was on Def Jam.
Yeah, Foxy Brown was Violator, Def Jam. Warren G was Violator, Def Jam. Cormega, Violator, Def Jam. Fat Joe.
I didn't know Warren G was Violator.
Yeah, Fat Joe was Violator, Relativity. The Beat Nuts was Violator, Relativity.
Okay. I think they're different, but that's me. I think they're a little different. I see the Loud one, but I don't think of Violator when I think. But
Yeah, I don't think of Violator as a record label.
But also, you when you're talking about Foxy Brown, the Raucous ain't had no Foxy Brown.
Nah.
They ain't have a girl.
Foxy Brown was way bigger than anything Raucous put out.
Anything.
They ain't have a girl.
Yeah, but like he said, anything that they put out, they ain't have nothing to keep it
Okay, so
compared.
hence I said they were at the bottom, and then Loud, and then Violator. Y'all said Violator ain't got enough people with hits. Then I named them, and now all of a sudden Raucous got. Y'all figure out how y'all want to play that out. All I'm saying is they in the same.
Them artists that you mentioned, they don't have albums that I go check for like that.
They're like well-seasoned vets.
They were at that time. They were new then.
Well, he messing with Chris Lightly, man. Like Chris Lightly was that guy, man.
Fat Joe dropped the album the same year. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, was that album?
That was on.
Don Cartagena, man.
That was on Atlantic.
Yeah,
Don Cartagena was on Atlantic. So he might have first came out on Relatively, but
he was, Relatively,
yeah. Don Cartagena was on Atlantic. So I don't know if Atlantic might have bought Relatively. Who knows with the labels back then, man. But Dead Prez, I'm trying to think of somebody else, man. Because Dead Prez is only like 2 years after that.
Y'all not gonna agree, but I would say, well, you might. He might. I don't know. Joey Badass is 1999. Content wise, the sound overall sound wise, not necessarily, but I would say it's almost an evolution of it. It's a throwback to 90s hip hop, just like they was throwing back, and then the topic matter of what they was spitting about. Yeah,
I got somewhat of a reach. They're maybe not the political side of them,
but gotta be a duo, right?
But they're a duo, and I think they're dope. And some of my favorites, Little Brother, man. They both can rap. They didn't touch on they touched on social issues, just more like the black.
Yeah, but they talked about, they had more female friendly records. Like, don't get me wrong, I love this album, but outside of the black girls ain't what the rest of listen to this. Whereas Little Brother had songs about women, like more than one.
Okay. Hey man, I said this is somewhat of a reach, but I rock with Little Brother a lot.
I do. I like,
but just music that people can relate to, kind of thing. And this may sound controversial, but he clearly said that he was motivated by their music. Kanye, Kanye get more of his edgy side, it's inspired by Black Star. For sure. I mean,
they're in his
Talib Kweli is on his first album.
Yeah.
Mos Def he signed. Mos Def never came out with no music, but Mos Def was signed to Good Music. Or Yasiin Bey was signed to Good Music when he was doing them Good Fridays. Yeah, Yasiin Bey was on the songs, man. Some of the songs, man. As a matter of fact, he was on Drunken Hot Girls. He was singing on Graduation. So like they inspire him. So I would have to say Kanye too. Like that crack music kind of sound. That's this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, in that case, then I would put Lupe in that same conversation too. Okay. That's when you start to get into that whole, again, that's that backpack realm. And to me, his lyricism versus anybody else who's in that conversation probably trends more to that Talib and Mos Def for what Lupe can do with words. Yeah.
Yo, you know who else gave them a big push on the low?
Oh.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
He changed their life.
The show.
He changed their life.
Mos Def was on some of the skits.
All of them.
He had him in a movie.
Yeah, he did. That Block Party.
Yeah, Block Party. That was major.
Shout out to Dave Chappelle because he always showed them kind of artists love. Whether you were commercially successful or not, like the artists he liked, he definitely gave a push. That was always dope. I always respected that.
Now I wonder, did Dave Chappelle hook up High Tech with them? Because he lives in Cincinnati or he's in Ohio. Maybe, I don't know.
Possibility.
I don't
know.
But Dave Chappelle, it was dope seeing the show and seeing like Mos Def, Talib Kweli, like all these underground artists, Common on, performing at the end of the show on Thursday nights, and that was a huge show at the time too.
Absolutely.
So that was major,
and I think that's what made it possible for Kanye to make a song and put Freeway and Mos Def on the same song, like that kind of Dave Chappelle. They actually performed that on Dave Chappelle.
That was
but like that whole lane, like I can bring commercial,
that was on the roof.
I can bring commercial artists and then or street artists and underground artists and put them together on the same song. Like that was dope, man. So. Black Star, man. Mos Def and Talib Kweli are Black Star. 25 years later, what's the legacy of this album, man? Raucous Records.
I'm gonna say it's a classic underground album. 2 songs I really can deal without, but it's still just an overall classic album.
This album is a classic album. It was before its time, and in a heavy, one of the greatest years of hip hop of all time, arguably maybe the best. To me, it's the second best after 1996. But this was a great year in hip hop, and for this album that didn't sell anything in the big picture to still have a niche in the game 25 years later says it all. It's not always about album sales and commercial sales. Sometimes music is just timeless.
The quality of the music.
And quality music is dope. And this is what this did. Shout out to Mos, a.k.a. Yasiin Bey, Talib Kweli. They still doing it. And this album right here was the foundation of their careers when they went on to have a lot more success. Even when Raucous Records folded, they still went on to do dope music. And it's crazy because Black on Both Sides was dope. Then Talib Kweli, his first album in the Reflection Eternal album isn't even my favorite Talib Kweli album, man. He had a lot of dope albums. My favorite Talib Kweli album is actually Eardrum, man. I think Eardrum is crazy. I think that album is crazy. But he dropped a lot of dope projects, like a lot of dope projects.
But Eardrum, he matured sonically.
The Eardrum is where he almost figured it out. Like, I'm not comparing him to Jay-Z, but the closest thing in his lane where you can come to try to
have a proper hook on the song and make a full song,
kind of being commercial and being hip hop too. He kind of found that was like the height of that to me, man. I was bumping that album like all summer when that came out.
Shout out to Raucous.
Yeah, Raucous had
Pharoah Monts had a dope album on her.
Raucous should get a documentary, man.
They need to, man.
Loud got a documentary. I think Raucous should get a documentary for what they did to the game, man. That was a dope little time period where they made an impact in hip hop, and because of the game, the way the game was set up, it was almost like it's no way they could last. Yeah, but they had a little run, man. They had a little run. Wow, you got that look again.
Nah, yo, Raucous had some good quality projects.
I love Raucous. I told you I was a child of the Lyrics Lounge. Yeah, I think the problem is when you talk about moving the needle or actually creating change, they didn't really do that, but they had a great impact. That's why I don't think they'll be as remembered as they should, and I don't think that a documentary would show us nothing that would make them be rememberable.
Well, I think it's
I hate to say this.
I think it's like ignorant, but I think it's a lane. I think it's a lane of people that still never heard this album. Yeah, like they're gonna hear this episode and be like, "Yo, man, let me go back and listen to that," which is great. That's the whole point of it. But I think it's a bunch of people that right now. That I ain't even going to say. I'm going to say it. Maybe people on this show that haven't listened to this album. I ain't taking no shots. I ain't taking no shots. They're not here, though. I ain't taking no shots, though.
You've seen them before.
It's funny. I don't think, again, you're right. There are people who haven't listened to this album. However, I don't think that a Raucous documentary is going to make people listen to this album.
But
I think it'll make you respect the movement, even if that's not your thing. I think you'll respect the movement.
You know what? Just like Stretch and Bobbito, they had a documentary that was great. It was great to tell their story.
You can't compare that.
I mean, they were underground.
I go back to creating change. They kicked the door down in having hip hop on urban radio. They created change. I can't say that Raucous created change. And I love them to death. I don't want to do this, man.
I think they served their purpose.
Yeah,
they did. They served their purpose.
Shout out to everybody behind Raucous. Shout out to Mos Def, Talib Kweli, everybody that was down to Raucous. Shout out to High Tech. Shout out to Common, Jane Doe, Wordsworth. Like everybody that was down with this album, man. Dope, man. Dope.
You know what's nice from Raucous? Sabam Sadiq. He was nice. Yeah. He was nice.
Yeah, man. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Vinny Monica. I thought she sounded beautiful on that song, man. Everybody, man. Everybody that rocked out with this album. Punchline also, man. Shout out to everybody, man. Dope album. Classic album to me. This album is a classic to me. That's another question. Do you think this Black Star album is a classic?
Absolutely.
I think so.
We all think it's a
Yeah.
classic.
Based
I know
on how
people
it
are going to disagree. Some people, they probably never even heard it. But I think this album is a classic, man. So if you haven't heard this album, go back and check it out. Let us know what you think. Happy 25th anniversary, man. Mos Def and Talib Kweli are Black Star, man. Happy 25th anniversary. Salute to y'all, man. They still making music. They still touring. They still got different platforms, the different things they doing to this day.
Two of the greatest lyricists to pick up a mic.
Hey, I ain't mad at that, man. I ain't mad at that, man.
And shouts out to them and shouts out to Raucus because they're how I learned or even saw what I at least thought at the time was improv being done in having articulate bars that could create a story on an improv. Now, I don't know in history. Now I know more things about how production things are made. I don't know if it was that.
The Lyricist Lounge Show 2023.
I mean, you know,
And your own little niche.
Depends on how the royalties are split, but I feel like. But yeah, matter of fact, y'all want to give me a word?
Oh, man. Black Star.
Okay.
2
You can
words.
give me one.
Jordan.
All right. I'm thinking. I feel like Black Star probably wasn't the group who wore Jordans. Matter of fact, like they just seemed like they would walk around with the hat down, but the way that it was almost a trucker hat because, you know, anything that was too fitted wasn't for him. Like, I felt like something about how Mos Def was, he had to be a Knicks fan and only rocked maybe UNs, and he wasn't going to feel like anything was right about the just do it or be like somebody else movement. See, I'm just telling y'all what I felt like and how I believe they lived because I guarantee even Talib till this day is so Brooklyn that he wouldn't dare try to throw on a bull fitted. Like that just don't even seem to make sense with this. So all I'm saying is knowing who they are, then even at a glance, how they choose to take a stance for, well, the same views that help serve people like you and I are. I promise you, Mike said everybody well sneaks. That message didn't make it to them. It didn't get that far. So all I'm saying is I can't ignore how fly Jordans are, but I doubt they were worn by Black Star.
Whoa, that was dope, yo.
Yes, though I already know he can do this, so
Yo,
I'm not surprised. He does this literally
dope.
all the time. Like you just give him words and he just goes off the top. Like I'm gonna give you another thing. I'm gonna let him go, man. Raucous, man. I'm gonna let him go a little bit, man.
Okay, I'm thinking.
All right. So you did Rocks. I'm gonna do Wu-Tang.
Okay. I'm thinking. Okay, Raucous Records. Boy, I tell you, like some would look back and the same people who would say they didn't make it are probably the same folks that called Joe Buttons a failure. Like, I'm only putting this into perspective as far as how it sits. I believe it because they both had dope shit. I mean, quite frankly, they both had an impact and changed the level of lyricism on how some folks went. It's just that on top of it, people didn't realize it if they only fed commercial shit. So they ain't see it the same way, right? And I mean, when I tell you, it's something about how it was supposed to move. Like, I love the fact that RZA said, yeah, we all gonna be Wu-Tang, but how about you sign with you and you sign with you? That's how Raucous made $1 million, or at least a few. See, I promise you that's how it started to get. It was somewhere between Triumph and Gravel Pit that made them feel like, oh, maybe this Raucous is the shit. It was the type of time that they was on to allow Raekwon to be move on, but this is how it was. This is just what they was doing. See, all I want y'all to know is it's almost like they moved into the game and then they chose to show y'all how to be players, but y'all would just say that they was on the bench or make them instant role players. I get it. I'm not going to tell y'all how many Capadonna scores every time he's on the court. But you know some bars from him, true. So I ain't going to ask you if you know who Raucous is or what they do, because I guarantee you've heard a few bars or two. So I'm only going to make them neighbors and end this with, hey, I'm G-Jones. I'll holler at you later. And shouts out to Violator.
Sneaky bars. That was dope, yo.
Thank you.
That was dope, man. And Wu-Tang had a song called Bring the Raucous.
Yes.
on their first album, and it's about to be 30-year anniversary of that album too, man.
You got
but
bars?
Dope, man. One more time. I don't got no bars, man.
Good. Thank you.
I've been rapping for years, man. I'm retired now.
Put the mic down.
Shout out to man G Jones joining us again, man. It's your third time now, so now you family, man. So you don't get no more introduction, man. You are officially Concert Crew family now after the third time, man. Yeah, he's a regular now. Third time, man. You don't get no fancy. We just welcome you in, man. You just come in and you just fit in, get in where you fit in. But definitely go support the stuff he got going on. We Concert Crew Podcast. Make sure y'all go download, subscribe. We on all digital platforms.
Yes,
make sure you go to our YouTube page. Subscribe. We appreciate all the support. Keep on running those views up. As always, man. Long live our brother Tez, man.
Sir.
We love you, Tez. We're going to continue to March 4th, man. And I know you wouldn't like this episode, but it would have been a beauty to see your opinion on it,
but
man.
I'm sure you heard the album.
I'm sure you heard the album, though, man. But, happy 25th anniversary to the Black Star album. Shout out to Mos, shout out to Talib Kweli, and everybody involved, man. We Concert Crew Podcast. We here. We ain't going nowhere. Yo, Pito, hit us with the fader. We out.
Yeah.